Well, yeah. Where'd you get those blinders?
Well, actually, I got them from William Dart. He orders them from Cutler's, I think, but they're real soft. And you put them on with a hog ring. Instead of sticking that thing through their nose, it can be bad. This one just clips with a big hog ring, and it's real soft. The blinder is. It's not hard plastic.
So is William using them for the jungle fowl too?
Yeah,
that's what he's using them for primarily.
And on his some of his pheasants, I think he put one on this silver one also because the silver one's very aggressive.
Does that help?
Yeah. And well, it helps me. They don't attack me when I go in. We'll see how it's going to happen with the hens.
That's what I was going to say. Is it?
Well, see, I'm hoping with this blinder that we get fertile eggs from her this year.
So you just get less aggressive.
Yeah, he can't get her. I guess he can't see well enough to be as aggressive, you know.
So you don't ever put like logs or anything or little tables for the pheasants to run under to get away from the cocks?
Just the little cut-off barrels in the back. I tried the Christmas tree thing that everybody does. I've never had so many mice in my life.
That's on the clean. Yeah, I never liked that Christmas tree deal.
This
put real trees in there if you're going to put something in there.
And with some of the pheasants, you can't put real trees because they dig them up.
Yeah.
The palm trees work fine, but they're not really. It's not really a good.
So I've seen people take like hollow logs and lay it on the side.
So
the pheasants can run. Two like plastic pipes and stuff.
Right. Yeah, I don't see these as
sorry to interrupt you. I don't see these as like they kill their females too, or they just pester them.
Just pester them.
Yeah, it's not like a Mikado pheasant where they'll actually.
No, because see, you can see from last year she didn't get any scars on her head or anything. It just aggravate the hell out of her.
So how about if you put another pair right next to them and let them fight and talk to each other?
Well, I've tried that and taken the metal down. And then the two males are so interested in each other they never breed. You know, they always after each other.
Maybe you've got to just put a couple extra females in there.
Maybe that. I have putting a game chicken, just a bad game chicken, in there with them.
So like if you have something that doesn't produce, how many years or what do you do? You change your aviary after so many years, or do you just keep trying?
If it's a breed that should be breeding, now some birds it's a give and take with them because it's so rare. But if it's one that should be producing, after about 2 or 3 years, if we're getting nothing, I'm going to flip flop and try them with a different hen or a different male. Just reverse pairs or whatever.
And hope that you didn't screw up your good pair.
Right.
Yeah. So that's typically what if something is breeding in a certain aviary, they're in there forever. I don't pull it out. Unless it's a common bird where I don't have to worry about whether I'm going to produce it or not.
Right.
But I typically give stuff like 3, especially like if it's a young bird, I give it at least 3 years.
Yeah.
And then if it doesn't work, I got to evaluate the situation, because if I have say something rare like bears, 2 pairs of bears poachers, one's producing and one's not, or if I'm getting infertile eggs on one and fertile eggs on another, then it's not probably a good idea to switch the mates. So
you might risk them.
Yeah, you use common sense on.
Well, like I've had pigeons here, some of the rarer pigeons that I've had for 3 or 4 years. It's like, okay, they're never going to produce, and then all of a sudden they go to producing 2 or 3 clutches a year.
Yeah, and this is the thing is like, I don't think people realize, like Kelly McMullen's got pheasants that are pushing 40 years old.
Oh God, yeah.
We've got ducks that are pushing 20 years old. I don't even know how long. So a lot of this stuff can live a long time. Whether they're really viable after 10, 12 years, I guess in the case of pheasants they remain viable, but.
Well, sometimes a bird will skip 2 or 3 years that they're not viable because you think, well, they're too old, and then all of a sudden
they go right back in.
So. I thought that was interesting at the zoo the other day. That flamingo died that was 63.
Yeah. They normally live to be 25 or something like that.
That was unbelievable.
Yeah. But that's I think the majority of people in this don't realize how long some of this stuff can live.
Oh yeah.
I mean, like if somebody asked me how long a green-winged teal lived, I'm going to tell you probably on average like 5 years. But then if I go out I guarantee there's birds that are pushing 10, 15 years old out there.
Well, in captivity, they're getting the correct diet all the time. There are very few problems with predators, So, I mean, they should live.
Most people don't know this stuff.
Yeah.
Because they're not getting, they're not getting 15, 20 years out
Right, yeah.
of this stuff. Except for the greenhouses, isn't it? For the benches on the greenhouse, that's wired?
I don't know. There's a place that I buy wire from, W.A. Davidson's, and he's got every kind of wire in the world. And these rims are like 18 years old. And it was just some wire I saw in his warehouse one day.
Yeah, that's the stuff they usually make greenhouse benches out of.
I know it's very stiff.
Yep.
There's stone partridge, mountain witch doves, green winged doves.
So how are you doing on the stone park? Are you still raising?
Well, year before last I raised 47. Last year I raised 20 something, and we'll see this year.
And they just like little chickens in there.
Yeah, but I love the noise they make. And I love the mountain witch doves too. They're awesome.
They're just on the ground all the time.
Yeah, they're on the ground. Yeah.
They don't ever get. Do they ever get up?
They'll roost in the air at night. But other than that, it's not.
Where
And
are
they
they
nest.
from? Indonesia or something like that? Or?
Yeah, they nest up in the air.
Yeah. Yeah.
Laughing thrushes.
These are plovers. Golden
mass
plovers.
clovers.
Mass plovers. Yeah. Are they laying yet? They got to be laying pretty soon, right?
These aren't laying. I have some lapwings up in the other aviaries that are laying. These little guys, last year was their first year laying, and they laid all the eggs off the roost. So hopefully this year they'll get in a nest.
Oh, young pairs?
Yeah. I love those birds.
Yeah, nice.
This is, let's see, what is this? This is common moorhens on the ground and pink-headed fruit doves on the roost.
So, oh, those are awesome.
Can you see them back there on the... They're beautiful birds.
Now, what are you feeding the fruit dogs there?
Fruit and Missouri softbill pellet and Zupreme fruit pellets.
So, could you feed them something like, and I'm just probably talking about my ass here, like a Lori nectar?
You probably could. I use Lori nectar for the hanging parrots and for the troupials. Now, these birds actually prefer the Missouri softbill pellets and the Zupreme fruit pellets over the fresh fruit. They'll eat it first.
So are they like really sensitive to cold? And
well, I thought they were, and you see I have the heat lamp on the roost back there, but they roost right here. No matter how cold it is, they still sit here.
So
and the heat lamp's on back there.
So how long do they typically live in captivity?
They're not a long-living species. Probably if you got one 10 years, I'd say you're doing real good.
Have you been raising them, or?
Not from these here. I have before that from these pair here. These are young pairs. And the moorhens that are on the ground, they nest under this palmetto, and they raise about 2 clutches a year of their own.
And did you say that these are nasty or not? The moorhens?
No, these aren't.
Now, how many species of these little ground, I don't know, for lack of a better term, ground rails, whatever you want to call them, these moorhens and gallinules and stuff, how many species are in captivity that are available?
Probably 20 or
There's that many
more,
available?
Yeah.
Right in the United States, huh?
Yeah, there's still a lot of them available.
So there's like 40 species and 35 species or so in the world.
There's probably over half of them available in the United States, I would think.
Really?
Well, I mean, maybe not so much in private collections, but the zoos have them. Mm-hmm. Now, the ones in the next pen, the banded wood rails, are very hard to find, very rare.
So, they don't really even need water, they just need drinking water?
They like to wade in it and play in it, but I mean, they don't have
cool
to
down
have
in the
it.
summertime.
Yeah, they don't have to have it to produce.
Now, they do all right if there's ice on top of the water?
Yeah, doesn't bother. Cold doesn't seem to bother them at all.
So you've never had frozen feet problems?
I've never had a problem with any of them.
Obviously, up in New York, I guarantee I could freeze their
Oh
feet.
yeah, you could freeze their feet, I'm sure. But you got to realize, if we get 25 degrees here, that's cold.
Yeah, well, same thing for the most part in North Carolina, but I say that, and, we dropped down to 15 degrees a couple times this year.
Oh, my daughter's in Asheville. She's been calling, complaining about the temperature of the snow.
Yeah. So one of the things that's nice because we have, farm in North Carolina, New York. is if we have something that's producing infertile eggs, you just move them north or south, and they'll just reset their circadian rhythm, and you're all good to go.
Good.
We were hesitant at first because moving birds north to south. So everybody's like, yeah, that's not going to work because you're going to stress the birds out.
Right.
But I've always been under the impression, that, hey, these birds migrate hundreds or thousands of miles.
Yeah.
So what's it going to hurt? So we actually will, like, we're going to transport birds up this week from North Carolina up to New York for breeding. But we'll do it weeks before, just a couple weeks before they're ready to breed.
Right.
We do this all the time. We have no negative effects. I mean, it's all. So your Broncos stay out year-round, or?
Yeah, and I don't turn the heat on with them unless it's going to be in the teens. Like, we don't get in the teens. We had it 4 years ago. So all these heat lamps have been hanging for 4 years because I'm not taking them down.
We went away from these bulbs, these heat bulbs.
I saw something that you was talking about.
I'm telling you, it saves a lot of money from electric standpoint and from bulbs getting broken and smashed.
Right.
And stuff. Those things are great. Those halogen bulbs. Oh, so you're using Imperial Pigeons?
Pied Imperials and mass lapwing. No, wattled lapwing.
No mate for the lapwing?
The mate conked out on me about 6 months ago, and I just hadn't replaced it yet.
Is that an easily replaceable? Or?
I've got a buddy that raises a lot of them. I just haven't taken the time to do it.
Are you raising those Imperials?
We've had 2 clutches. Doug pulled one to hand feed. That was not very successful. And the next one, they decided not to feed it. So.
Which is typical on the pigeons?
Yeah. We had better luck with them when they were up in the big aviary at the house there, because it's a lot larger aviary. But that aviary there at the house is so big you can't catch them when they have babies, so you just have to leave them in there.
Wood rails.
Greater wood
I
rail.
always see females advertised on these. There's always
I think there's an overabundance of females.
Yeah. Which is probably a result of limited genetic variability on that.
These clutch, usually I get 3 eggs to a clutch. I have had as many as 5, but it's normally 3.
Oh, they're still a pretty good clutch size.
Yeah, and they're excellent parents as far as raising their own.
Do they start like chickens if you hand raise them? Or?
Yeah. They're much easier to hand raise if you hatch one, if you got a baby chicken or something to put with them to teach them how to eat.
Then they can eat the chicken after.
Yeah, eat the chicken later. That's just some young rural. Actually, 4 right there, I think.
So this is how you raise them, or you put them on the...
No, I raise them on the wire and then put them on the ground later. Rural are like puppies. They're so tame anyway. They're all over you, walking on you and everything. So they're not a wild bird. They're not going to try to kill themselves.
Yeah, that's a lot of these zoos that have the walk-in aviaries.
Yeah, they're all there.
Yeah.